Hey everybody, and welcome back to Elley Knows Rocks. I am standing in a collapsed lava tube beside the subway caves. The subway caves in California are closed right now, and I was stopped by a ranger. Well, he was a legit ranger. And they said that I was not allowed to go walking around in there just because the gate was closed. So, seeing as how it's winter time and it's about 32 degrees outside and I'm freezing cold, not used to the weather here, I decided anyways that I knew where an alternate cave was so that I could go looking around. This is kind of close to the road. There have been a lot of people here, so there's some graffiti and some fire pits and that kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. These are amazing. This is more of a collapsed one, and it's been collapsed for quite a while because you'll see some huge trees that are growing out of it. This partial cave that goes back in there quite a ways actually, with some stuff that's been growing from the top down like little stalactites, which was awesome. The lava tubes were here because of volcanic action of lava flow during an eruption, and they would transport huge amounts of lava great distances under the ground. And these lava tubes, once the eruption stopped, once the eruption stopped or the lava got diverted, these lava tubes were left over and were caves. Some of them collapsed, some of them didn't. You can see that there have been layers of different flows throughout the time that these lava tubes were used. So we're just gonna investigate it a little bit. And thank you guys so much for watching.
Welcome to the beautiful subway caves, also known as lava tubes. Now, the main lava tube, or main section of this area, is a self-guided tour which is approximately 1 1/3 mile long. However, being this time of year, the little Forest Service ranger that kicked us out decided that we couldn't walk through the gate even though the gate was closed. Arizona has a totally different set of rules. It just means you can't drive into the area if a gate is closed, but you can still walk through the area for seasonal purposes. Regardless, it was a bummer. However, being here before means I know where there was a backup, which is what we're looking at now. This is a secondary tube off of the main lava tube. That part of it got collapsed. Parts of it that we're looking at have been caved in, but still have little portions of the tube that were left over. And as you can see, a lot of the ground is covered with huge boulders and big trees, which means this was a complete lava tube at one time, being how there's big boulders, but then collapsed many, many years ago so that these ponderosa pines could grow up big and tall. And the moss and the lichen on the basalt also gives you an indicator that this has been caved in for quite some time. Now, most lava tubes are completely dark inside. You definitely need a good flashlight or a good headlamp. And the floors are extremely jagged, so you really need some good, sure-footed shoes. Most of the time, you don't need any sort of climbing gear, spelunking gear, or a hard hat, although some people do choose to bring those items. Most lava tubes stay pretty chilly throughout the year, being a consistent 46 degrees Fahrenheit, which means it'd be a perfect place to store wine, but I'm pretty sure that's not what they do here. Lava tubes form quite spectacularly. Lava tubes are natural conduits through which lava travels beneath the surface of a lava flow, meaning that the fluid on top cools relatively to the fluid that's flowing beneath it. And as that crust cools, it creates a perfect insulated tube for lava to keep flowing underneath. Since there is such a great amount of insulation from that crusted layer, it allows the lava underneath of it to stay really hot and stay very liquid, allowing it to travel fast and far. Eventually, when the eruption of the flow is over, the lava stops, sometimes leaving a completely hollow tube because the lava has already flowed all the way through and usually creates some kind of a barricade at the very end of the flow, which can be miles to just a few feet, depending on how great the flow was. And since this is right near Mount Lassen, and if you guys know anything about it, Mount Lassen's eruptions were huge. And if you're curious what kind of lava flows through lava tubes, it's primarily basalt. Now, since we're talking about lava flows, a lot of people confuse the term magma and lava as being the same thing, when actually, scientists refer to the term of magma being molten rock that is underground, and lava is molten rock that breaks through the Earth's surface. Now, if you look at some of the walls around this collapsed cave, you'll see why it collapsed in this area. As lava cools, especially if it cools quickly, it tends to crack. And so if those grains of rock aren't solidified really strongly, they will fracture and break off at those extreme cooling points. Now you may ask yourself, how long can lava tubes actually be? Well, the Lava River Cave near Bend, Oregon is part of the Newberry National Volcanic Monument, and it is 5,211 feet in length. The northwest section of the cave is the longest continuous lava tube in Oregon, making it one of the longest in the United States. Now, you may be asking yourself, why are there different colors of rocks here? Well, all of this rock being basalt, which is a mafic extrusive rock and is the most widespread of all igneous rocks. Since basalt has a relatively low silica content, basalt lava tends to be low viscous or have very low viscosity, which means it flows very thin. Kind of like comparing it with peanut butter and honey, where peanut butter would have more viscosity and honey would have less viscosity. So, in an odd term, think of basalt like honey. Basalt are common, aphanetic, igneous extrusive volcanic rocks and are composed of miniature grains of plagioclase, feldspar, pyroxene, olivine, biotite, hornblende, and about 20% quartz. Now you can really see once I'm inside of this lava tube how greatly it collapsed. All of the rock that is on the floor used to be stuck to the ceiling. That's kind of a sketchy thought. However, like I was saying before, fracture points are real, cooling points are real, and so if the rock wasn't solidified well enough and those temperatures change to either solidify the rock too quickly or too slowly, then you get fracture jointing zones, and that's where the rock tends to break.
Cool, huh? Ooh. Just be careful, there could be critters, you know? Oh, this one not very far.
Well, like it was when it collapsed.
Oh, they're littered with them, like with trails all over this area. Yes, it was. It was back in there a little ways. but it goes way back under there.
That gets into your sketchy cave exploring stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm more afraid of critters than I am anything else. Ooh. Maybe take your light off.
These little guys are like miniature stalactites. They're kind of a calcification mineralization of the meteoric water flowing through the ground, through the basalt, and then ending up on this beautiful little dome right here. And this cavern, or lava tube, has a lot of this going on along the walls. It simply means that there's just a lot of mineralization coming through the ground into this lava tube.
That was an awesome end to the cave. I am a little bit too scared to go back in there because how that was super tight. I also don't have any gear with me to go do that, so it wouldn't be very safe. So that is a negative this time. But this is a beautiful cave, and I am very lucky to be here. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching
And being part of my adventure. Come back for the next one.